On May Day 2004, Superman Ride of Steel at Six Flags New England is enjoying an early tenure as the best roller coaster in the world. Just that previous off-season, the illustrious Golden Tickets had recognized the roller coaster as such. And as few coasters can claim the distinction as having been at one time the best in the world, by the end of that day, Superman Ride of Steel would have an even more infamous distinction that even fewer roller coasters gain, which is the distinction of having directly caused the death of a park guest. It's a tragic story, not only because it's a tragic story anytime there is premature loss of life, but also because it seems apparent that Six Flags and Intamin should have known better. For those who are unfamiliar, let me start by giving a summary of the accident as provided in newspaper accounts of the day. Faith Thomas had Stanley Mordarsky's life in her hands, but just could not hold on. The Raymond, New Hampshire woman was sitting behind Mordarsky on Saturday at Six Flags New England in Agawam, Massachusetts, when the Bloomfield man popped up in his seat as the roller coaster approached the last turn. Thomas, 39, who was holding on to a safety bar, said she let go and grabbed Mordarsky's shirt and suspenders and pulled him back into his seat. But seconds later, as the roller coaster was ripping through the turn, Mordarsky, who was holding onto a bar, lost his grip and popped up again, she said. I grabbed the waist belt area of his pants and thought, no, I was just praying the whole time. My eyes didn't leave him. I totally had him, and then the force just pulled him away, Thomas said, weeping as she recalled the accident. Mordarsky, 55, who had cerebral palsy and needed a motorized scooter to get around, was flung like a rag doll to the ground. Seconds later, the Superman Ride of Steel stopped, and panicked riders tried to get out and help the man, but were prevented by park employees, Thomas and other riders said. All of the Superman mega coasters built for Six Flags by Intamin in 1999 and 2000 end with a similar series of bunny hills, which are the strongest moments of airtime on the rides. Here on the official POV, we could see the series of bunny hills where Faith Thomas reported that Mr. Mordarsky first began to fly out of his seat. And it was this final whip to the right just before the brake run which ultimately dislodged Mr. Mordarsky from his seat. The Boston Globe reported on May 2nd that Mordarsky was pronounced dead on arrival at Bayside Medical Center at 3:45 p.m. An eyewitness described the accident as that Mordarsky started spinning like a frisbee and hit the rail, bam, and then fell down on the ground. A few years later, in a memorial retrospective for Mr. Mordarsky, Faith Thomas would give a deeper account of the event. The ride started, and I saw him coming up after the first rise. From then on, the ride was over for me. I couldn't tell how many hills, but he started to come up with every one of them. I held on to him, but each hill pushed him out of the seat even more. Faith had grabbed Stanley's suspenders, but she couldn't hold him down. On the final hill of the ride, Stanley began to fall out of the left side of the car at the same time that the car banked into a turn. At that point, Stanley's left hand actually lay on the track, according to the Massachusetts Department of Public Safety accident report. Faith said, I saw the arm that was wedged fall, severed by the car's rear wheels. Simultaneously, Stanley fell backwards and hit the track. And then from there, he bounced and hit the pavement, and then he flew right into the chain link fence. He bulged the bottom of the fence like he hit it with such force. Faith pauses. There was a long delay getting help to him. They stopped the ride just short of the wooden dock. The nose of the front car was right near the first part of the platform. It's supposed to make a complete circle, letting riders off and on one side of the platform and letting new riders on, but it stopped short. I know God forgave me for my mouth, because I started screaming, he fucking needs help. Some others in the car were aware of what happened, I guess, but I was the only one yelling. Someone have a phone? I yelled. It was over 3 minutes to get help, and that killed me. I wanted to get out and help, but they wouldn't let us. Two boys who did try to help jumped the rail, but they made them get back. Faith stops again and says imploringly, I reached out and I had him. I had him in his seat, and I had him as he was hanging off the car. Her voice trails off a little. I feel like I was playing tug of war with God with Stanley. It took only a week for a report to come out confirming the eyewitness accounts that Six Flags ride attendants had failed to check Mr. Mordarsky's lap restraint. The unfortunate thing is that maybe the reason it didn't take them so long to discern this is that it had happened before. An ejection from perilous plunge and Intamin ride at Knott's Berry Farm in California prompted this Los Angeles Times article. Intamin President Sander Kernax is quoted as saying, "Our rides are safe when people are responsible and follow the instructions." Sander Kernax defended the design of his ride, saying that the design is for an average rider of 175 pounds and that it is up to theme parks to properly decide who is and isn't able to ride. However, apparently these rides were not furnished with a recommended weight limit. We also see reference to the 1999 ejection of Michael Dwylebe at Six Flags Darien Lake on the Superman Ride of Steel ride there. Dwylebe's attorney said that his client, who weighed more than 300 pounds, came out of that ride like a cork out of a champagne bottle. By the time Stanley Mordarsky was ejected from Superman Ride of Steel, this deficiency in design had graduated from a suspicion to a known defect. Faith Thomas and other eyewitnesses established that Stanley Mordarsky's restraint was not checked prior to the train leaving. If the attendants had strapped him in right and pushed the bar down, he would still be here, she says. On the next page, it reads, "An engineer who acted as a consultant to lawyers in a suit in New York State involving a 1999 accident on another Superman Ride of Steel coaster said that if a rider has a wide girth and short legs, the bar can lock in above the belly. When the coaster bucks and plunges over a steep hump, the force can suck the rider above the restraint and fling him out of the car," said John Surth Jr., the engineering consultant in the case of Michael Dwylebe, who won a $4 million jury award after he was injured in a similar accident at the Six Flags near Buffalo in 1999. "It's the pot belly that does it," Surth said. At 5'2", Stanley Mordarsky weighed about 230 pounds and had a pot belly. There was no posted weight limit at Six Flags New England for Superman Ride of Steel, and it was the responsibility of attendants to make sure restraints fit. And about 16 years later, hardly anybody has heard about the incident. And for the dozens of videos out there claiming that roller coasters and theme parks are as safe as possible, there isn't anybody speaking up for the case of Stanley Mordarsky. Modifications to the restraints as well as shortened seatbelts were added in response to this accident, but it was too late for Stanley. Theme parks are safe. Riding roller coasters is safe, and it's natural to have a little bit of apprehension when somebody comes out speaking things that simply aren't based in reality. And there are a lot of plain old urban legends out there. But that just makes us as enthusiasts all the more responsible for making sure the truthful incidents deserving actual recognition aren't drowned out by fiction. Stanley Mordarsky was an enthusiast, not unlike you or I, who died riding roller coasters like you and I would like to be doing right now. These may be uncomfortable truths for us as enthusiasts, that sometimes parks really are responsible and sometimes people really do die. Stanley Mordarsky was not the last person ejected from an Intamin mega coaster at a Six Flags park. And in 2012, Rosa Esparza was ejected from the New Texas Giant under similar circumstances, where the restraints were unable to protect her despite her weight. Stanley Mordarsky and the victims of these other tragedies deserve to have their stories remembered properly. And they don't deserve to have their pain swept under the rug, because it's uncomfortable to admit when your hobby might be responsible for unfortunate things.